Hi Aquarius, welcome to your March 2020 Astrology 33 bonus love reading. Thank you to those of you who have liked, viewed, shared, subscribed, and donated to the channel. I appreciate all of that. For those of you interested in booking a personal reading with me, I actually won't be offering those until April most likely. If I do start them up earlier than that, I will make an announcement on the community section of the channel, so keep an eye out for that. At the very least, when I start posting the general April videos, I'll give you guys an update there too. As far as what's in front of us, we have what I call the bridge and the gap spread and the way it works. The cards on the left side represent your energy toward the connection with your main love interest. Cards on the right side represent their energy toward the connection. And these are the past energies, present energies, future energies. Once we get through those, we'll pull some oracle cards. And to gain some additional insight, that's where the bridge and the gap dynamic comes into play. And as far as the decks being used, on the left side, we have the Lover's Path Tarot. On the right side, we have the Tarot Sexual Magic. And also keep in mind, since it is just a general reading as I'm going through it, if this sounds more like your energy on the right and this sounds like their energy on the left, then definitely roll with that. But for the sake of it being a little less confused, I'm always going to refer to the cards on this side as your energy. All right? So with all that out of the way, past energy on your side, we have wisdom. So this is the equivalent of the High Priestess in traditional tarot. And what this could just be saying here is maybe you weren't being very communicative in the past. The High Priestess tends to be highly intuitive and tends to trust that intuition too, tends to keep a firm grip over her emotions. So that could have been the energy that you guys were putting off, and maybe that might have been a little bit hard for the person to read. And what's interesting is if we look at the artwork in this particular deck, it's like you have the guy in the background, and to me, I see that sword representing communication. So there might have been someone in your environment who wanted to communicate with you, but for whatever reason, you were really keeping to yourself. It could be disinterest, but I doubt that's the case, right? Because the whole point of this reading is to see what's going on between you and your main love interest. So maybe you guys just had other things going on in your lives at the time. Maybe some of you are actually in school, or maybe you're just focused on career, trying to get some kind of certifications or something along those lines. But definitely looks like there was a bit of a disconnect with communication in the past. And I mean, given that I view this often as Pisces energy too, which is the natural ruler of the 12th house, you guys have a ton of stuff going on in your 12th house. I'm sure you don't need to be reminded of that. Saturn, Pluto, South Node, Mars just got there recently, so you could have just been energetically just really focusing more inward in the past. Past energy on their side, they have the Six of Pentacles. So this is actually Taurus energy, and this usually represents providing balance in a connection. But what I'm picking up on here, especially given the definition of the card in this particular deck, is that this person might have felt neglected in the connection. So now, I guess for a smaller percentage of you, it could be the other way around, where maybe they might have been the ones who you felt weren't putting enough attention into the connection, and that made you go inward to figure out what was going on. And quite frankly, it could have been a little bit of both, where maybe you guys just had that disconnect, where there was no clear communication about why there was a sudden disconnect in the connection. And, we're currently in a Mercury retrograde, so that wouldn't surprise me if that's the case, right? Especially in Pisces. Mercury tends to struggle there anyway. So you add a retrograde to it, and communication could definitely get a little jumbled up, and then people might try to rely more on their intuition, but with the Mercury retrograde, can you necessarily trust it, right? Maybe not. So that could have been what's at play there, just a disconnect. For some of you, like I said, it could have been that you guys were just focused on other areas and this person was feeling neglected, or vice versa. Maybe you felt like they weren't putting in effort, and rather than, asking them what the deal was, you might have just really tried to intuitively pick up on what was going on. Present energy on your side, we have the Ace of Coins, the Nine of Coins, and the Six of Coins. So now we see the Six of Coins for both of you, right? So what's interesting here, the Ace energy usually to me represents something in the idea stage, right? So this could just be saying that you were considering whether to invest, right? So with the Nine of Coins beneath that, that could be saying you might have been trying to decide, well, would you rather just be single, right? Or would you rather actually put in the effort toward the connection? Now, I do have a feeling that seeing this card come up here, and given that they had the Six of Pentacles, this is really one of those things where it truly can play out either way, and maybe in a way this is just saying that both of you had a role in this disconnect. But what stands out to me with this Six of Pentacles is We already see 3 on that side, right? Sorry, it had out of the frame. We have 3 on this side already. This person has 3 also, but they're giving their third to the other person, right? So basically, that might be how you might feel toward the connection, where one person might perceive that as balance, but you might feel like, well, I'm actually the one who's losing out here, right? So that could be what it is. And for some of you, it could just be that could be your take towards relationships in general, right? Where you're like, well, maybe you just feel more comfortable being independent with that 9 of coins energy in the present, and you might view, okay, well, if I'm in a commitment, I'm giving up something, right? And maybe you're trying to decide if you actually want to do that or not. But what sticks out to me here with the artwork in this card too is we see it looks like there's a storm outside, right? A snowstorm, and we think about the 6 of Pentacles comes after the 5 of Pentacles. So um, it definitely could be a situation where one of you was left out in the cold, and I'm having a little difficulty figuring out which way that goes. If it was you guys, again, who might have been neglecting the connection, and you're considering whether you want to actually put in the effort to restore the balance, or if it was them, and they're trying to come back to you to restore balance. It really could go either way. That's why I feel like for some of you, it could be that both of you played a little bit of a role in this, and it could have all just been retrograde energy throwing everything off between the 2 of you. Present energy on their side, we have Justice, which is the major arcana card for Libra. And what stands out to me about this Justice card in particular, well, generally speaking, Justice represents balance, right? But what stands out to me with this one is the body language of the person. It's like they're looking towards the cards on your side, right? But at the same time, their legs are pointing in the opposite direction. So this could just be them trying to gauge you. So again, I feel like this is primarily a disconnect going on between both sides, where it's like they want to stay, but they're like, well, I don't know if Aquarius isn't giving anything, maybe they're thinking, well, should I leave? You know what I mean? Because look at the shift in body language from the past to the present too. Past position, they're leaning fully in towards the cards on your side. As we get to the present, they're still looking in that direction, but now their legs are starting to turn away. So it could be one of those things. And I do have to say, for some of you, this could even be coming across in a bit of a petty way where they're like, oh, well, Aquarius isn't going to pay me any attention. I'm not going to pay Aquarius any attention. You know what I mean? So the balance energy we're seeing here could be playing out in a more negative way in that regard, where as opposed to them telling you, hey, this is what I'm feeling, they're just going to give you back that same energy. But if you didn't mean anything by you withdrawing, right? Like I said, it could have just been all the stuff going on in your 12th house that had you a bit disconnected and up in the clouds. But then they're kind of passive aggressively trying to give you that same energy back. Obviously, that could cause an issue. And maybe that's why some of you are like, is this even worth the connection? You know what I mean? So that's what I'm seeing there. And, this Mercury retrograde actually is going to go into your sign for a little bit. I think around the middle of the first week of March, if I'm not mistaken, it's going to be in your sign, and then eventually, obviously, it'll start going direct in your sign and move back into Pisces. So, could be what's causing that as well. Future energy, we have Desire. This is the equivalent of the Chariot card. So, to me, seeing this card pop up here does show that I feel like for the majority of you, you guys will get this connection back on track. Like I said, I really feel like for the most part, this was just a misunderstanding. You guys would know if that's the case or not, as far as, if you did clearly communicate to this person and they're still acting that way, then okay, maybe that's a different story, right? But I feel like maybe you guys just never really communicated whether you felt they were drifting away from you or vice versa. And then that could have just led to things snowballing out of control a little bit. But to me, this does show that there is ultimately that desire to move forward with this person. And interestingly enough, too, the bottom of the deck on your side, we have the Justice card. So we have the 6 of Pentacles in both of your spreads, and then also we have the Justice in both of your spreads. So to me, that there is a desire for that balance. I think you guys both want that balance. Ultimately, you just might not be going about it the best way as far as when it comes to communicating. All right, future energy on their side, we have the 6 of Cups, the Hanged Man, and the 3 of Pentacles. So this is interesting energy here too. The first thing I'll say with the 6 of Cups, usually that's nostalgic energy, right? Wanting the past to come back around. So again, maybe just wanting, again with the 6 energy especially, them wanting things to go back to the way they were, right? That could be what it is. But what sticks out to me about the artwork here is, again, she has her back turned to the cards on this side, right? So this could just be saying that, they might be trying to show you that they're willing to walk away, but I feel like they really don't want to, you know what I mean? So if you were kind of just wrapped up in other things, they might have even threatened to leave, whether directly or just, again, maybe in a passive aggressive way, but it looks like they definitely don't want to do so, especially with the hanged man right underneath that, which is to me saying that they're not really moving, and they could just be trying to look at things from a higher perspective too. That could be what's at play there. But then ultimately, with the Three of Pentacles, we see that card of building something long-standing and stable. So for this to be on the bottom of those three, to me, that says that even if they are trying to, act like they might move away, looks like they're not going to do so. I do have to say, for a small percentage view, though, this could be something as far as maybe someone from their past could be luring them away or trying to lure them away from the connection. So one of those things, if they're feeling neglected and someone else tries to come back around, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden they feel like they're getting attention there. That could be what's at play. The only reason I say that is because we have the Four of Cups at the bottom of the deck on their side. And to me, if you just look at the body language of these two people, it looks a little bit shady, right? So that's why I feel like there could be someone maybe trying to swoop in and try to, maybe they see that you guys are going through a bit of a struggle and they see that as their opportunity to kind of slide in. But I will say, if that's the case, yeah, maybe you could worry about that a little bit. But if we keep in mind the overall message of the Four of Cups, it's usually receiving offers, but not ultimately not being satisfied with those offers. And then beneath that, actually, we see the Two of Swords, and if we look at the energy there, right, it looks like someone extending a love offer to another, and that person doesn't seem interested in it. So, if anything, I would say this might be someone trying to distract them and get their attention, but I don't necessarily think it's going to work. So, but yeah. So ultimately, I do feel for the vast majority of you, this is a connection that's going to get back on track. And if it really was just a matter of miscommunication, maybe that's the lesson for you guys for the retrograde, is to try to keep that in mind, and in future cases, just try to be a little more communicative with each other. You know what I mean? Not putting the blame on either side. Like I said, I had a little difficulty seeing who is the primary one who might have caused it. So that's why I feel like it really could have been both of you. But um, moving on to the Oracle cards. First, we have the Mystic Moon Oracle deck. And for those of you who haven't seen this type of reading from me before, I actually do pre-shuffle this deck before I start recording. And then I'm just going to be looking for some jumpers here. First, I'll be looking for, oh, got one already. I was going to say unspoken messages from you to them. And then we'll be looking now for an unspoken message from them to you. Oh, there we go. All right. Yeah, I don't know. Looking at these cards, I really do feel like you guys are clearly still into each other, but for whatever reason, wires got crossed. And again, maybe it's just as simple as a Mercury retrograde thing, but I do see you guys figuring it out. For the majority of you, anyway. The card on your side, we have my mind and heart always come back to you. So there's that, right? Where especially we could see that where even if there was a little vacillation in the present, where, like I said, you guys might have been trying to weigh the cost benefit of, okay, should I just stay single or should I try to restore the balance, right? But then I have that followed by the desire card. To me, that clearly shows that for the majority of you, you would decide to ultimately you'd be better off with them than without them, right? And then on their side, it just says you inspire me, so nothing groundbreaking there. But at the same time, obviously, it shows that there is mutual admiration. So that's why I feel like for the majority of you, this might have just been a temporary thing. Excuse me. And you get back on track. So last thing we're going to do is I'm actually going to pull a card from the Wisdom of the Oracle deck. Same situation here. I did pre-shuffle this deck, but I'm just looking for one jumper here. All right, so let me see what I get. Nope, got one there. All right. You guys got thinker, and there's the artwork, and the number is 44. So yeah, again, that makes me think of the high priestess energy we see there, and like I said, for this person too, maybe them not speaking up about the situation. So we'll see what the actual messages in the book say, though. Okay, it says strategy, being analytical and logical. The oracle's message: the ability to reason and strategize is the focus now. Take things at face value and follow the logical path. Your calculations will prove to be correct, for in this moment there is no deeper meaning than what is obvious. Things are exactly as they seem. You have all the information you need. Keep it simple, and you will win the game of life you're playing right now. So, pretty straightforward message there. And then let's see what the relationship message says. It says, love is not logical, but when you choose a partner, it is good to have things in common other than desire. This is a time to weigh the pros and cons of your partnership. If there is enough common ground, go for it. If not, there are other fish in the sea. Don't force it to work. And should others tell you who they are, take them at their word. Now is not the time to indulge in a fantasy. No matter what, in this case, the facts are the facts. So definitely an interesting message there. In particular, what stood out to me was when it said, it's good to have things in common other than desire. And then that made me think of the fact that quite literally the name of the card in the future position on your side is desire. So I do have to say that seems to be going along with what your thought process might have been too, because it also says weighing the pros and cons. And that's what I pick up on you guys doing in the present. With that ace of coins, or like I said, the nine of coins, and maybe staying single, or six of coins. Okay, do I want to restore the balance, right? So that could be what's at play there. And I do like that the message before that did say that you have all the information you need, keep it simple. So, I guess it's up to you guys to decide if you want to continue the connection or not. It definitely does seem like the person is still interested on this side. Again, like I said, maybe they're not the healthiest at communicating, and maybe if anything, you guys would at least have to address that with them, you know what I mean, as far as if they are putting off some passive aggressive vibes. But hopefully that resonated with you guys. We'll wrap up there, and I'll see you all next month. All right, bye.